Welcome to Shekve, everybody, our first tale in Tendra, with sounds from Epidemic Sounds and Tabletop Audio. Hey, you can follow us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can even find us on Google Podcasts. Please follow and leave a review. Welcome to another episode of Tales of Tendra. I'm your story goblin, Deven Hayes-Richards, and joined, as usual, by Christopher James Ouellette.
Playing as Tobias Silas.
Kirsten Gray.
Playing as Raina Madarasz.
Maddy Stalnik.
Playing as Ouellette.
Leon Heiman.
Embodying the soul of Callio.
Wow, damn. And to somehow follow that up, Alex Madarasz.
Hi, I'm as Roman.
Just Roman.
Yikes.
Roman.
In our last episode, we had just finished combat with a dramatic magical spell from Osirion, forcing all the children back into the camp, as is his goal, has always been to protect the children. Unfortunately, he was also afflicted by the same lady with ethereal chains as Niall. And now, we gotta figure out what the fuck that means, I guess. So, Tobias, you're the only one who saw what happened to Osirion. You are currently picking yourself up off the ground.
By your bootstraps.
What do you want to do? Oh, also a child poofs in, literally, almost within your body, essentially.
I'm going to stand up, survey. It seems like most of the sounds of combat have subsided at this point. It's more quiet. Just the fires.
The fires and a sound of young children crying as they are terrified.
Stand up quickly, brush myself off. I kind of half kneel down, pick up the little one, and just run along to the mess hall. You'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
As loudly as he can, he's going to call out, "Camp Center, now!" And he's not asking.
So bossy.
You guys hear a very, bossy sounding tone out of Tobias.
Ella was already on her way to follow after him, skirts up in her hands, because he had just booked it after telling him, "Don't be alone." And he friggin' roadrunners it out of there. So she had been chasing after him. She slows to a stop as he comes by, and she starts looking around. Can we see more children from where I'm at?
There is a child in front of this east building, crying, sitting on the ground. You see the one that Tobias put down, arms straight out, toddle sprinting towards the mess hall. Roman, you can see one here. There was one that Tobias basically dodged, incorporating inside of him, and there was one nearby, both of which have headed towards the mess hall, and there'd be one here who is an older child and is just kind of frozen in shock type of thing.
Ella would go up to the one at the east building who's crying and kneel down and reach out and, "Come along, little one. The nightmare is over. We have you."
This is a little girl with black curly hair, wearing pants and a flowy shirt. She has eyes in her palm, shaking, softly crying. Doesn't seem like she heard you.
I'm gonna cast sleep.
she passes out.
So I put both my hands on her and I'm like, "Let sweet dreams take you for this moment." We'll gather her close. How heavy is she?
She's about just barely less than you, 70-ish pounds.
Alright, so we're not carrying her anywhere, so Ella will just sit on the ground with her in her arms.
Okay, what about the rest of you? What do you guys do?
What an image that is. Raina would... There's a crying child to the west here-ish?
Yeah,
as well?
where the sad face is.
Okay.
It's an Easter egg hunt, but with children. Sorry.
Hide
Dark.
and seek. Raina goes up to that child and clocks that Roman is in the tree line and just you good?
2 thumbs up.
Perfect.
This is a small boy. He is about 9 or 10. He has well-kept brown hair. It does look like he was injured by the fire before he was taken. He does have a burn mark on the left side of his face, and it is kind of encroaching towards his eye. It looks like he has lost sight, his left eye.
Okay. Everything's fine now. Monsters are gone.
Similarly, in frozen shock, not really making sound.
Okay.
Perhaps the magic showers still work and he can go to bed and be cured of all his wounds.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys weren't like scarred.
You made it sound like we were magically repaired every day.
You were
after
being like lesser restoration.
Raina just like carefully scoops him up and will on the lookout for any of the instructors, teachers, adults besides us here.
You do hear the thundering steps of Rupert approaching.
Rupert,
Oh,
what's
yes.
the? We need to get these children healed and safe and looked after. You good?
Yeah. Protocol is take them to the mess hall. Where's Osirion?
I don't know. I haven't seen him yet.
Fuck. Okay.
Raina.
Well,
yeah.
Are you taking this child or?
I think on her way, like up to where she heard Tobias shouting, she will drop mom off and then meet.
Shortly, like within seconds of Rupert arriving, the dexterity teacher arrives, and they kind of sweep upwards to locate kids. She seems to have some sort of magical ability, and she is putting out fires.
Perfect. Raina can't help with that really, besides kicking dirt at things. So she hopes that others can, and will find Tobias and Cloxella.
I saunter.
Okay.
So casual.
You guys all meet up in the center.
I'll make my way over to Eladira with the sleeping kid, and I'll say, "Need a hand?"
Yes, she nods.
I'll gently scoop up the kid and carry it to the mess hall.
Stand and follow suit.
All right, Tobias, you have the floor.
Roman, Raina, water first. Get the assist where you can. Fires are number 1, kids are 2, damage report 3. At that point, abjuration's going up in the mess hall. Make sure they're protected. All set guards.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to head to the only. I guess you said there was multiple teachers around at this point.
Yeah, there's some teachers you don't recognize. They're new.
I don't. Get your fucking ass over here.
But yeah, there are adults that have rushed back since noticing the smoke from the funeral.
Of course. One question: did they walk in or not?
All right, the teacher you speak to says you'd have to ask the elven wizard. They're his words. We don't really. Most of the teachers were with you at the
Funeral.
at the funeral. The only two that weren't were like the gray wizard showed up and immediately left. You assume something happened.
All right, you ensure that the children are safe. Send the teachers meeting now, out of earshot.
He nods, and you're not like a spellcaster, but you can tell when someone is casting a spell. And this person casts some sort of spell, and you hear
like a PA system.
Yeah, basically a PA system, like staff to Osirion's office.
Yeah.
Once children are secure, type of thing. Those of you who are putting out fires, it takes about 5 minutes with all the spells, the effort, the force. Normally I'd talk shit about that, but I guess like force would push the fire. So like,
Yeah.
fine, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's called feeding the flame.
Yeah, Callio, you're making quick work. The teachers who did like most of the children, they kind of gather the children into the mess hall, and then those teachers are also helping you put out fire. Doesn't take too long. You're able to save most of the buildings. Not your cabin, it doesn't burn down, but 2 of the cabins do. Everything else, your cabin's severely damaged. Like, it definitely doesn't have a ceiling anymore. Like, you ain't waterproof no more. But you're standing, and then you hear the abjuration magic kind of stop as the kids are moved away from, like, because that was holding like beams from falling on them. So that gets dealt with. And then you guys make your way over to this building to the east, that being Osirion's building and office.
Did we collect all the frowny faces officially? Okay.
You have officially collected the frowny faces.
You get an achievement.
100%, let's go. We're speed running this bitch.
The inside of the cabin, much bigger than the outside.
What sorcery is this?
Literal sorcery.
Actual
Illegal.
magics.
Literal magics. Tokens for...
We just try to be next to each other.
Tobias, did you see Osirion at the end there?
Yeah, once the teachers and the group had all met up, it would be very much right. So Pops, as it were, is not with us currently. The main woman, whoever that was, wrapped some sort of ethereal chain around him. I don't know if anyone knows anything about that, but in sort of a last-ditch effort, he bamfed the kids back and got taken himself. Sort of a one-for-many swap. That's what it looked like. So that arcane pulse or whatever, that was him. He's not here. Whatever, Rupert, I guess, congrats, you're in charge. I don't know if they materialized in. I don't know if they walked in. I would still recommend putting a guard schedule up, keeping the kids contained to roughly one building, because it seemed like they were after them.
All right.
Didn't really give much about you teachers. No offense.
The teacher's kind of like... They're like semi-offended, but like they're like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Best case scenario, if you have the means to do so, doesn't seem like it was specific kids, at least initially. Contact parents as quickly as humanly possible. And maybe one of you could answer the question as to why the hell that woman and many versions of her wanted your camp kids.
The blonde elven man sitting to your right, he looked elderly, takes the glamour off. It's the one that you remember. Says the woman is a high-ranking member in the Black Castle's military. She is created to look like the king's daughter. The other beings you saw are also homunculi that he just didn't put as much effort into, thus they age differently, they decay, they don't hold together, become more zombie-like than person. As for how they got in here, I am not entirely sure. I felt what I would describe as a pinhole in my barrier, and that's when I teleported away from the funeral, and they were already everywhere. Which means I need to change how I create that spell. Have you seen this woman before?
Weirdly enough.
Yes, I'm guessing that you guys saw her at the funeral then.
Was she alone?
No, she stood in a line with other variations of herself and Niall, oddly enough.
Roll me an insight check, anyone who's wishing to.
Allow me to roll dice? Yes, please.
God damn.
Natural 20 with a 21 total.
Jesus.
Also natural 20 with the 25 total.
We may as well be sisters here, girl.
I'm rubbing off on you.
When you mention that Niall's with them, he looks very concerned and uncomfortable. If you can continue to press if you wish.
You know, the last time we were here, things were not exactly shared with us. If you have anything that is pertinent in right now, I suggest you disclose that.
Was Niall connected to her with a chain?
Yes, I believe so. Bound and gagged.
Then that's how they got it. He knows the spell, the specifics, and the specific holes in the spell that allow people like you and people like him to come in. Otherwise, the spell would not allow anyone in. So now I have to make the spell not include him.
Right. He's currently not in a position to come back.
Sounds much easier than it is.
And I'm sure that us sitting here talking about it, speeding along the process, get the fuck out of my face.
Is it easier than fighting a bunch of homunculi that are kidnapping your kids, or like
Debatable.
on like a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you put the kids on that?
The kids were something he cared about. I only came to make the barrier.
Sounds like you have a job still.
He does walk away.
Was Niall's spirit taken from his body? Is that how she has him?
Oh, if you lost your chance to ask him
Yeah,
questions.
God damn it, Tobias! I had questions. She doesn't yell that, but she's certainly thinking it.
One goal in mind, which is get the damn barrier back up right now.
She was like trying to ask, and her voice is all quiet. Just there they go, and sighs.
Teacher.
Would it not be pertinent to maybe get all the kids out of the camp and just send them home?
Or even move the camp?
Or move the camp? Yeah.
Rupert says most of these kids come from places with no magic. If I send them home, it's like sending him into a tent inside of a flaming pit.
Weird analogy, but okay.
I feel like our security when we were sent home came from the fact that nobody knew who we were, right?
Exactly. They already have been targeted.
What makes these children special?
As far as I was concerned, nothing. You'd have to ask Osirion.
They got rocks in their hands?
Not to my knowledge.
Should we check their hands?
You can. Can I check your hand?
We did this once already.
Yes, but if you just show me your hand, I can't tell that there's a rock in there.
That's a good point.
So, they had us all gathered at the funeral.
Feels like a message if you ask me.
They chose to attack the children instead.
Did you guys know what kind of spirit Niall was?
Yeah, he was
Veshelkin.
he was a
Wexler-slash.
Veshelkin.
One more time, Leon.
Vexelkind.
So close. Hey, so close.
I would be willing to assume that the children that were grabbed are also of the same species.
What? Yeah, you got more puppet people running around?
It is
Is
far
there
more
any kind
common
of
than you
background check?
think. On children. Most of these children don't have parents that know anything about spirits. Hence why they have to come here to be informed of anything.
Yes.
Right, so the Black Castle's racist. Understood.
Well, we knew that.
You just figured that out? They only tried to wipe everybody else off the face of the continent.
No, that's a genocide, not a racist. There's a difference.
Well, when it's every race, everyone.
Okay.
I would argue to genocide someone's kind of racist.
That's correlation, not causation.
Defenses, Osirion's gone. Rupert, you're now in command.
Yay.
Congratulations.
I'm bringing in the family.
Greatness is thrust upon you. Enjoy.
So he says he's bringing in the family, and his glamour drops, and he carves something into his forearm that looks like a dreamer rune, Ella,
Ooh.
that is a rune for beacon.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ella, how much have you read in character, do you think, of the spirit books, the spirit of the spirit encyclopedia book?
Well, I got the book, and then wasn't it the next day was the funeral?
Yes, but I don't know. Maybe
So
we're
pretty smart. We tried to read a chunk through it, maybe the first couple of chapters. Anything that would notably look important, she might flip ahead after reading the index.
Ironically, the first spirit in the book is Ursa, the giant bear spirit. All bear spirits are descendant of Ursa. You would also, this isn't written down, but all spirits of a greater spirit can contact each other. And so when he carves that rune into his arm, you feel like a pressure on your spirit as you hear the sounds of bears roaring, growling. They seem to approach.
I'm going to whisper to myself, "Hey, can you do that?"
Oh, Thanatos. It's like... What?
Pay attention. This is important.
Rupert, who
What's
taught
happening?
you that rune?
Rupert says, my father. I've known this rune my whole life. Ursa has taught us all this rune. Why? So it's clear he does not know it's a dreamer.
It is of my people.
Interesting. Good to know. Keep that in mind. Explains why Ricard was weird about it. While you were resting the other night, I found some more letters that I received from Niall. He appears to have some sort of cabin on the north side of the lake. And, you guys are on the south of this large lake. It isn't named necessarily. It is named, but it's named by several different people. It just several different
Great
names.
Lake.
Yeah. It's basically they just call it Shekfe's Lake.
Body the water.
Colloquially, but each culture has a different name for it. There could be notes, I don't know, something that could help you there. Check Osirion's office as well. Clearly, he and the other wizard had to have had some sort of idea this lady existed.
We'll take a look in Osirion's office if we don't turn anything up. Even if we do, then perhaps later tonight, gents and gentesses, a bit of an excursion, as it were.
For it to be on the north side of the lake, it is 2 to 3 days away.
Never mind, in a couple days.
We could leave tonight.
If that's the case, we could. Probably best in the morning. Make sure they're set for the evening before darkness sets in. At the very least, kids feel safe because 5 of us are here and the teachers are here. And Callio, I've heard, is going to put on a wonderful show.
Yep, totally. That's exactly what I was thinking. You read my mind.
Gotcha on that one. And maybe let them process, but maybe a good dinner tonight teaches when we get everything set.
Yeah, I'll have... I want to say her name, Andra.
I have her name. Wait, hold on. I look.
Thank you, note taker.
Thank you.
Arda is...
I was close.
Is the agility teacher. Thane was the Osirion lookalike.
Yeah. So he says, I'll have Arda conjure something.
I will sleep in the same hall as the children tonight and keep watch.
Weird, but okay.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I think we should all stay in one lodge.
Yeah. I am going to go and bathe.
Yes, you smell horrid.
Unfortunately, that's not coming from me. That's what's wiped on me.
Yes, rotten blood.
Yuck.
Good times. And he'll step out.
I'm gonna search the office.
Yeah, Raina sticks around to do that too.
Ella wanders over to Callio, like just subtly sidles on up.
Callio is musing about what he's going to play for the kids tonight.
Just try to be real subtle about it and just kind of like reaches over and just like barely touches him. And
What you want?
What you want?
you feel better.
Oh, look at that.
Takes her hand back and sidles back over to Raina like nothing happened.
That's appreciated. Thank you.
She nods. I should go see if anyone else is injured.
Okay, so we'll do some jump cuts. Firstly, we will go to Roman.
Busting into the office.
This is, ironically, yes, the office. Over to the east side is a bookshelf full of books. Looks like a lot of notebooks, a lot of spell books, all kinds of stuff. His desk is in the northwest, and then like all this stuff is like displays and little. The one in the middle is like a miniature version of the camp, and as you look at it, you realize you can see people moving on it. And when you're focusing on it, you can see that Thane is in the middle of the like courtyard doing something. And what you didn't tell right away was there was a bubble over top, and it drops, and you watch as dust falls onto the mini camp. Yeah, roll me an investigation check. Raina, are you helping, or would you like to roll your own?
She would help, I think.
Wow. It's a really, really good roll.
I don't have a lot of intelligence.
We sent the wrong person.
I'm perceptive, but nothing else.
You spend an hour and you don't really find anything you think would be helpful.
I don't see anything on the surface level with my perception.
Books.
Books. Yeah, there's books, guys.
They're organized alphabetically, you think. Actually,
Okay.
you speak Elvish, right? Yeah, they're organized
hope so.
alphabetically in Elvish.
Okay. Cool. Is there anything in any of the drawers or anything else? Any papers on his desk that look
If there is, they're in some sort of like secret compartment that you didn't see. You can try again in like a little bit, but that was not good. We're gonna with that bad roll, we're gonna hop cut to Tobias. I feel like you're just going to clean up, but you know. What's running through your head, Tobias?
What song do you sing in the shower?
Yeah, what's your shower song?
What's my shower song?
That's singing Journey.
No. What's he thinking of? Well, he's had dealings with external things before, never that has like directly targeted children. Just a couple flashbacks with regards to like his time in the city guard and whatnot, and just rage. Very, very indignant and outraged at this. He's like mentally burning the image of that woman into his head so that he'll never forget it. He'll unclip his mask, begin to like clear out his wounds from underneath, and then apply his like salves and bombs that he needs to his face, and then reclip it, and then have his shower kind of thing.
As you step into the water, you are, in your rage, brought back to a crime scene that you investigated. There was a young family, all of which were killed. The children as well. You remember walking in and being just bombarded with the smell of blood. And as you are letting the water kind of wash away the smell of rotten blood, you're reminded that it doesn't take a special person to be a monster, because the person that killed this family was in your father's guard squad. And your father is the one who led you to him. And it was the last time that you guys had like a cordial interaction within the guard. Up until that time, the guy was actively like, quote unquote, helping you with the investigation.
Yeah, sure.
Seemed like a normal guy. That's really burrowed into your brain that anyone could have been a monster. And we will...
I was going to say, I'll finish cleaning up and see how much headway they made.
Yeah. It'll be like half an hour once everyone meets back up. But first, we're going to jump to Ella making her way to comfort the wee lads and lassies.
Lattices.
That's what I was going to say, and I was like, that's not right.
I know. It felt right to me. It had to be said. Are they all gathered in the same?
They're all in the mess hall. You can see teachers are counting them and then counting them again and counting them again.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are quadruple checking type of thing. What's your passive perception again?
15.
Oh, actually, I can look. You would notice on one of the elven women's faces concern and fear. It seems as though there's someone must be missing.
Come on up to her and...
Hello. How can I help you? She's a 6'5" platinum blonde woman. She wears an elegant like pantsuit essentially without the sports coat. She looks well prepped for like a naval job type of thing.
Actually, I was hoping I could help you.
What are your skills? Are you funny?
I can heal.
It's much more helpful actually. There's like a group of children that definitely clearly like you see a child with the left portion of his face burned, his eye graying. You see some kids with some slash marks, like look like claw slashes, not like weaponry or anything. And you see a young girl, kind of reminds you of the small girl that would follow her brother around that guarded you.
Mm-hmm.
And she is sobbing, like uncontrollably. There's the other kid, like the kid with his burned face, is trying to console her, but it's to no avail.
And is everyone accounted for?
In your head, you hear, "We are missing one."
Will you tell me more?
He's the only one that I know for sure is like Niall. He lives with, and she kind of gestures to the sobbing girl. He was forced to replace her twin brother. So as you know, they're like somebody kidnaps a kid, then uses a spell to force a spirit into a doll and makes them look like that kid and plants the kid. Her parents knew. She didn't. And now he's missing. So that's going well.
Nods. Thankfully, it seems the kid who is most injured is over there anyway, so she's gonna wander over, place her hands on both of them, and gives off more of a calming exterior rather than her cold, stoic face. It'll be alright. How can I help? Nah, she will cast Cure Wounds on the young lad once or twice, depending on how bad.
So, unfortunately, Cure Wounds does not fix things like blindness.
Mm-hmm.
However, you do effectively erase the scarring. He's just unfortunately blind in his left eye permanently.
I'll come back for him. We'll get strong and we'll come back.
You would notice that when you first approach, like when he doesn't know what you're going to do, he instinctively goes to move the little girl behind him and like clench it. He's basically preps to swing at you, and then you heal him and he like unclenches his hands and He says, I don't know how to make her feel better. She just keeps crying.
Go help the others. I'll see what I can do for her. You have a good spirit. Thank you.
Okay. He kind of flops her over to you, essentially. Stands up and looks around to see what the other adults are doing, and there's like some adults moving stuff, so he goes to like help them bring in cots and stuff for the kids.
Oh, what a good lad.
You, with your passive, I would say you get the sense that he got the burn from like fighting back and trying to help the kids.
We hands on the girl and kind of turns her and tries to hold her face up a little so she can look her in the eye.
Eyes puffy, red, just snot. It's not pretty.
We will find him. I promise.
He never goes far. He always stays close. I don't know. I've never been without him.
I know, and it must be very scary. But you are not alone. There are people here, friends, others like you. They're going to keep an eye on you, and I will find him. Okay?
Okay, so are you intentionally making a promise?
Intentionally making a promise to find this kid.
As you make this promise, you feel in your skin a mark, that you feel a pinch in your body that you now understand is you have made a promise to a witch.
Oh!
Someone that does not know she's a witch, but in most fantasy stories, when you promise a witch, there is repercussions, and unfortunately, this means that there's going to be some sort of repercussion that she has no control over.
Can't wait for this to bite you back in about 10 years.
Oh man, this is... Ella would make no notion of having noticed anything change.
Also, for the record, this is something your father has warned you about. No one else has ever discussed it except for before the sleep.
Oh. Well, that's good.
Oh, zesty.
Will you tell me more about your brother?
She goes on to like describe him. He is I'm not going to talk in her voice because it hurts my throat. He's about 2 inches taller than her. Similar facial structure, so fine features, half elven features. Curly black hair, but with like she says he has like this blue tint. Their mom is clearly a different kind of elf than just a regular run-of-the-mill elf. And she says when he walks through the gate, he looks weird. So she's noticed that something with the way he looks gets affected by the barrier.
And what are your names?
My name is Jezebel. And my brother's name is Ulrich. And when she tells you her name in your head, anytime you have like a thought that's like a picture, in the background, you can see her name like written somewhere, as if your promise is now permanently a part of your thought process.
Man, I'm just making that worse, aren't I? She nods and says, try and get some sleep. We will stay here the night, and in the morning we will head out. Take care of the others.
She hugs you, and yeah, your usual weird stiff. And I would say by accident, but in your head you hear her little voice say, "You have pretty scales." And then she makes her way over to the boy that was like guarding her essentially, and she's pretending like she's distracted enough that she feels confident in you and is like pretending to boss him around.
Aww. Then
You know, young little girls, they like to boss people around.
I'll spend the rest of my time. I've got one more use of cure wounds for any of the worse injuries, and then I'll just medicine check for anyone else.
Okay. You take about half an hour
Yep.
helping out these kids. You've much improved their shticks. Yeah, and then we'll cut to Callio quickly. What have you made any sort of performing decisions?
Absolutely. Callio is going to go over to where the kids are. He'll like take a few seconds to set up, do a little be a little showy about it. Use some magic, create some flares to gather some attention, hopefully.
You see the little girl that was talking to Ella is like barking orders, and she sees you cast just like a little flary spell, and her head snaps towards you, and she runs over and sits down and just waits, she's like a magician.
I look at Ella and like apologize, I think. Yeah, and I'll like set up my unseen servant with my violin, my mage hand with a drumstick, and myself with a flute. And I'll kind of bust into a little jig. And just trying to like give some like background, like sense of normalcy kind of stuff.
The kids are progressively becoming more and more abundant in your circle, your little sphere of influence here. Yeah, I'd like to give you a inspiration for that. It's just enough within and also like without of the character. I would say that this feels like a character growth moment for him. You spend again about half an hour, 45 minutes. You tell them you'll be back, but you guys, got to meet up. As you start hearing people come back in, Roman, you can roll. Roman and the Raina, you guys can roll some investigation checks, or you can help him with his investigation check.
Say, are you sure you want me to do that? I'll give it a try again.
I believe in you, sort
Yeah,
of.
if Raina can give any kind of help action, she would.
You can definitely give it. I don't know if he's gonna.
I don't know if it'll help.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
feel
don't know
like
how to
you and
roll
I
with
have probably
advantage,
got the
so.
same
roll two-
stats.
If you just
just
roll
roll
it, it'll roll both.
Yeah, just roll it the way you were.
Is that good enough?
15?
Was 15 good enough?
15. You realize that in one of the drawers that you're like, this doesn't feel deep enough for how big it is. That there is a false bottom. And when you open it, a puff of some sort of spell pops up at you that's like,
Oh, god damn it was anthrax.
supposed, like if he was within the like camp, would have fucking sucked. Because you'd take 2 damage, and you feel it like seep into you and then recede as if it like uses his life force to do damage to you, and he's not close enough.
Hell yeah. Can't
And
get rid of
in
that
it,
ghost stuff.
you find some notes. You find, I assume you read it right away when you find it. You see that
Yeah. Give me your secrets.
you read that the King of Black is who created all the homunculi. Every homunculi is created from his being. You read that he has modeled them depending on like their power in the military by his children. His eldest daughter being the first child, her name is Sarah. Clearly, Osirion did not find their last names because none of them are in there. There's no last names.
It's not black.
No, that's the. It's called Castle Black because the wall, like the stone, is black. The walls are black.
Okay.
The armor,
The King of Black. I don't know.
Very gothic.
the armor that the soldiers wore, black. The weaponry, black. Like everything was black. As if they would disappear in the night, type of thing.
All black everything.
His eldest son, Dragon, Draegon. His other daughter, Calliope. See, felt like Callio, but PE at the end.
Calliope.
And his youngest son that you read at the time of this spell was only the age of 12, and his name was Gregor, Gregor. And you go on to read that the king of Black Castle was, or I guess is, as far as you don't know if he died or not, is a xenophobic cultist. He worships the god King Render, and when you think about it, you've noticed that any sort of iconography has had the symbol of King Render in it, which is a crown with a sword thrust through it, so like laterally, so the crown is like as if it was sitting on something, and you can see the spike jewels going up, and a sword thrust through it. His name is also Gregor. That's in there. He basically, it does not mention if they're human or not. That's not mentioned. There's references to like was human, didn't seem to bother humans. They're not really sure what that was about.
But probably human because xenophobic to everything that's not human?
Yeah.
Okay.
Potentially to everything that's a spirit, maybe. If they were going after specific... Well...
You never, like, anything that he thought wasn't...
Like their mother was
humanoid.
a spirit, and so they got picked on for it, and now like they go and they kill all the spirits?
If that's what you're getting.
If that's what you want to believe.
You know that he is directly responsible for the extinction of halflings and...
Good riddance. Sorry.
Now that's fucked up.
He's directly responsible for
racist.
the extinction of halflings and dragonborn. He destroyed more than 75% of the dwarf populace. He fully, like, all the elves are alive, but they're all like crossbred now because he killed out like wood elves,
Hillbilly elves.
You read that before the Empire was called the Empire, it was called Lhasa Prime, and he destroyed all of the humans there. All the humans there were killed. Anyone there that was kind to spirits, killed. Anything that he could prove was not strictly humanoid, killed.
Was this guy like an art school reject by chance?
As far as you can tell, he was some sort of psychopathic military. But like, he went to these places and killed people. He didn't just send his army. Like,
goddamn.
There's record of him cutting the... So the Lhasa used to be run by a council. This is all in there. And he executes the entire council in front of the populace before having the populace like massacred by his homunculi. And the last note you read is his children were in a wagon heading before the war, heading from Black Castle to Triton. Eldest daughter was to marry the prince of Triton, and the Empire or someone in between there raided their caravan and staked the children like Vlad the Impaler style on like posts and burned them alive.
Oh.
And he decided that... So as a kid, his family sacrificed people to spirits. He said there's like there's like a piece of paper that looks like it's ripped out of someone else's notebook, and it's like a first person telling of like watching his parents sacrifice other people's children to the spirits to keep their homes safe. And that's how they would sacrifice them. And so someone did it to his children after that that practice had died away. That's what Osirion thinks started the war.
Well.
And with that information to ruminate on, we're going to end this episode. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Tales of Tendra. See you next time. Hey, you can follow us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can even find us on Google Podcasts. Please follow and leave a review.
Hello one, hello all. It's Quinton Foote here, Dungeon Master to a very unique live-action fantasy adventure podcast known as The Fables of Latour. Join us every Monday as we explore a completely original world filled with new races, monsters, and magics, all based around the fantasy novel series, The Mighty Vendavar. Since we specialize in long-format storytelling and our entire cast are professional actors and artists, you can excitedly tune in weekly to experience the next chapter of our harrowing saga. We can't wait to meet you in the wilds of Latour.